Now for the second graph, domain is we're gonna take a look at the left and right x value, right? So if you notice the arrow is pointing to the left and the arrow is also pointing to the right, and then no discontinuous point in the middle, there's no break or anything in the middle. So it means the graph, the domain gonna be all real number. How about the range? We can see the arrow on the left is pointing up and the arrow on the the right is also pointing up, okay? And you don't see any y graph or any graph below the x-axis. The lowest point on the up and down, on the y value is 0 right here. So it means the domain will be start from this point and then go all the way up on both sides. Okay, so it means your range with the lowest point going to be 0. So 0 to infinity. Okay, and then how about the increasing and decreasing? If you're starting on this point, it's like you are going down the hill. So the graph is decreasing from where to where. You go down the hill until you hit 1 on the x-axis. So it means the function f of x is decreasing on negative infinity to 1. And then increasing from where? F of x will be increasing from 1 to infinity, on 1 to infinity. All right. And then for part C, you want the 0. 0 will be the value of x that give you the y equal to 0. And on the x-axis, right? And on the x-axis, the only point that we see the intersection is at 1. So my 0 is x equal 1. So that give you x-intercept will be 1 and 0. How about y-intercept? Y-intercept is on the y-axis, the point that gives you x is equal to 0. So on the y-axis, the only point is also at 1. So x is 0, y is 1. Okay, so this is the x-intercept and y-intercept of this graph. So now take a look at the third one. So the third one, we want to determine part A is domain. So domain, same thing. So you have the arrow from the left is pointing, we have the arrow point to the left, and we also have the arrow point to the right. So can we say the domain gonna be all real number? No. Why is no? Because there's a brick in the middle, okay? So there's a brick in the middle at x equal 3. So you can see the dash line right here. It indicate what? Indicate your x is cannot equal to 3. You have to exclude x equal to 3. So it means your domain can be anything from the left, but when it's hit 3, it have to be stopped. Okay, so it not include 3, and you have to use a parenthesis because parentheses mean not included, or what? After 3, you still have the piece of graph, right? So after this, you have 3 go to infinity. 3 go to infinity. So your domain is actually from negative infinity to 3, and then from 3 to infinity. Okay, and how about range? Because there's some break in the middle as x equal 3. There are also some break on the range, right? So on the range, it looks like you have the arrow pointing down and you have an arrow pointing up. But on this left side, look like the arrow is only pointing to the x-axis, and on the right side, same thing. So it means it's never hit the 0. So we have to exclude the 0 for the y value. Okay, so it means we have negative infinity to 0, not include 0, or 0 to infinity. Now for part B, let's read the increasing and decreasing. So let's suppose you stand right here, how you walk. Isn't that you walk down the hill? Yes, we're gonna walk down the hill until where? Until you hit 3. So it means f of x is decreasing on negative infinity to 3. And how about on the other side? So let's say you start from here. From here is this means on the right of the 3, right? You start on here, and when you go, you also go down. So it means you also decreasing on 3 to infinity. Now for zero of the function is mean the y value gonna be equal to 0. And it will be on the x-axis. But if you look at the problem, when the graph is approaching to the x-axis, it just make a turn. It's never cross the x-axis. So you don't have the 0 for this problem. So the 0 is none. So the x-intercept is also none, or does not exist. And how about y-intercept? Yes, we do see 1 point for y-intercept, right? On the y-axis, there's 1 point that the graph passed through the y-axis. But it's hard to read. We're gonna call that is about 0.1. So it's gonna be 0 and 0.1 for the y-intercept. Okay, so this is all for the increasing and decreasing function.